Hello there, America. Santorum and Gingrich dismiss climate change and vow to dismantle the EPA. So they're out vote gathering, appealing to the people, saying things that they think the people will want to hear. A day before Colorado Republicans voice presidential preferences at the caucuses, Rick Santorum dismissed climate change as a hoax and advocated an energy plan heavy on fossil fuels. We were put on this earth as creatures of God to have dominion over the earth, to use it wisely and steward it wisely, but for our benefit, not for the earth's benefit, Santorum told an audience at the Colorado School of Mines, where he was guest speaker Monday at the Colorado Energy Summit. We are intelligent beings that know how to manage things, and through the course of science and discovery, if we can be better stewards of this environment, then we should not let the vagaries of nature destroy what we have helped create, Santorum said to applause from the conservative crowd, who I'm sure understood more than I did because I did not understand. Then we should not let the vagaries of nature destroy what we have helped create. Anyway, I'm sure the audience understood. Going later into this article, stressing the importance for the country to provide cheap energy to its citizens, Santorum blamed the recession not on subprime mortgages or the derivatives market, but on spiking fuel prices. We went into a recession in 2008. People forget why. I have no idea what he sounds like. I have never heard him. They thought it was a housing bubble. The housing bubble was caused because of a dramatic spike in energy prices that caused the housing bubble to burst. Santorum told the audience people had to pay so much money to air condition and heat their homes and pay for gasoline that they couldn't pay their mortgage. He sounds silly, but maybe he's got a point. The nation's energy policy is a key talking point this election season. Is it good? The nation's energy policy is a key talking point this season. They're going to talk about it, but I'm not sure what the energy policy is, but it doesn't matter. They're talking, so we might get in on energy policy. This is Gingrich, so he'll sound different. I don't know what he sounds like either. This is the most anti-American energy administration we have ever had, said Gingrich. You have the highest cost of gasoline in American history, and I think that if you're an editorial writer at the New York Times, this is what I've been on about, poignant, pertinent stuff, and you live in a high-rise in Manhattan, and you ride the subway to work, it may not occur to you that for most Americans a high price of gasoline is a real problem. I can only imagine that Gingrich and the other chap, Santorum, are baby drill people. I really don't know. I'm sure you do. You can tell me if you like. And later we get who's speaking here? Gingrich, who's rambling. Okay, rambling. I believe we don't know. I'm an amateur paleontologist and gynecologist. The planet has changed its temperature a number of times, Gingrich rambled. If you look at the Antarctic today, I wonder if he knows if that's the uppy one or the downy one, you'll figure it must have been a lot warmer when the dinosaurs were there. So what I've said in the past is I'm happy to take prudent measures that aren't very expensive. He's going to take prudent measures but not pay much for them. So if we can find relatively inexpensive, safe nuclear power, so if you've got a cheap nuclear power station for sale, Gingrich is your boy. I'm for it. The fact that Iowa produces 20% of its electricity from wind is fine. Well done, Iowa. There's a lot of things you can do on the margin. Do little doodles of God and people, spaceships. Ooh. Going to Mars. Ooh, different planets. The God shuttle, going to find God. Ooh. What I would do, I would turn the power over to bureaucracy to run the entire country. I've always opposed cap and trade. I would not turn the power over to the bureaucracy to run the entire country. Yeah, it is a bit rambly, isn't it? But when it comes to it, nuclear power, I mean, what private company's got the amount of capital to buy a new one and then guarantee that they'll run it and then turn it off and dispose of everything? It's got to be a federal, or for the rest of the world, a countrywide thing, hasn't it? It's got to be a country government thing, surely. No? Yes, I think so. Okay. This is a paper by a Californian professor or something. I won't read it because I've rambled a bit like Gingrich on the first one. Basically, he says that there were, in 2007, there were 24 proposed nuclear reactors in the United States. Licenses were applied for. But then in 2009, with gas coming aboard and the economy going into the shitter, people didn't need so much energy, so it wasn't viable. So the numbers that they'd worked out that it was going to make it profitable weren't going to be profitable. So they're basically saying, nah, forget it. And then we got Fukushima, and Germany and Switzerland and Italy are not doing any, and really nobody wants to do nuclear anymore. But the paper, it's only about 20 pages of PDF, basically says, and he's not, he's obviously an expert, but I think we can probably agree with him that nuclear is getting towards, because of the Fukushima stuff, and everybody will want so many safety things added on there, that it's just never going to be viable ever again. Well, ever again's a bit long, but in the environment that we have now, there are no nuclear power stations that are really going to be financially viable, because it would just be so ludicrously expensive to build everything to the absolute safety, up to 100% safety standards that people will naturally demand. So it's almost saying that unless people are going to run nuclear power stations at a loss, whatever that is, we're not going to see many more in rational democracies. Okay, moving on. Speaking of non-rational democracies, Chinese imports fall sharply in January. Imports plunged 15.3%, leaving China with a trade surplus of 27.3 billion on the month. They had their New Year's celebrations, which shuts down an awful lot, but the tom-toms say that shutdown isn't still nearly enough to account for the great drop-off in Chinese imports. There is something very slow-downy going on over in Asian China region. In Europe, these are loan demands for Eurozone businesses. We can read so much into just an easy chart like this, going back to 03. It goes up to the boom, down to the crash, up, oh, we're going to recover just like we always do. And then the realization, oh, we don't seem to have recovered anymore, and the loan demands stop coming in, and they're just keeping going down and down in the Eurozone.
Bloomberg, Greek doctors battle hospital superbug. It's not money, but it's important stuff. Greek doctors are fighting a new invisible foe every day at their hospitals, a pneumonia-causing superbug that most existing antibiotics cannot kill. It's quite a long article for Bloomberg. Just a couple of things pulled out. Greece has the lowest nurse-to-patient ratio in Europe and one of the highest rates of antibiotic use, or abuse, on the continent, hindering the attack on infection. High amounts of antibiotic use is pure laziness and lack of brain power. I think they've got plenty of doctors in Greece, more doctors per 1,000 patients or whatever it is, than most everywhere in the world. But handing out antibiotics like sweeties is criminal. And I think this is the last thing. Yeah, doubled wrapped germs. This is what the little buggers are. KPC is the name for them. Part of the so-called gram-negative group of bacteria, which also includes E. coli and Pseudomonas. Companies developing new antibiotics so far have focused more on gram-positive bacteria such as MRSA. What can I finish with? Bacteria don't know that they're in the Eurozone, or bacteria are like debt. I don't know. But I prefer to be dealing with a debt overhang than I would trying to deal with gram-negative groups of bacteria. That's it. Bye.